Hello in TV land, it's your boy Freelancer Joe, and it is time for Coffee with Joe. Yes, the special modified routine we're in. It's that time of the week we're in. We take a look back at the previous week I'm saying week a lot today. We take a look back at the previous week and recap the events and progress. Because, as Freelancer Joe always says, well, not always, but most of the time, if you want to get somewhere, it helps to pay attention to where you've been. As you can tell by the different surroundings, I am not in my usual location. I am taking a break en route to my super secret location, super secret undisclosed location, which I will be heading to later on in a little bit. And as you can tell by the light level, well, I can't tell if you can tell by the light level. It's not quite, oh my god, 0:00 in the morning. It's more like, oh my god, 0:30 o'clock in the morning. Freelancer Joe stayed up a little bit too late last night and left a little bit too early this morning. So I knew I was going to be traveling. And so I said to myself, Freelancer Joe, you got to go to bed early, get plenty of rest. And then it turns out my buddies were going to be all online at the same time. So I was like, okay, well, I'll hang out for a little bit online, go to bed, ideally by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at the latest. Well, 11:45 rolls around, and finally I said, okay, that's gotta cut it off now. But it was still good fun, and actually not that tired, surprisingly. Can't quite figure out why. Normally, because I have to get up early too, with that shortened window of time for sleeping, but I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good. But even though I got up at the normal time, the alarm went off at the normal time, and I figured I could snooze for a bit. Unfortunately, I didn't actually hit the snooze button. Instead, I hit the turn off button. So that snooze turned out to be, well, about an extra 45 minutes. So that delayed me getting on the road. It's still pretty early. Unfortunately, not early enough to avoid the idiocy on the road. And I am telling you, idiocy was rampant this morning. I don't know if it's because just because I got on the road later, because normally I go on the road earlier, or maybe just because it's that time of the year where people start driving even crazier than normal. Well, if they drive crazily normally, then isn't that the normal? So, is crazy a spectrum, or is crazy just crazy? Well, that's a philosophical question. And I operate in reality, so no, there's normal, then there's crazy, and then there's crazier. That's it. Until somebody else comes up with a definitive mathematical proof for otherwise. But yeah, so I hope that you all, if you're driving on the road, and, well, anytime at all, really, but whenever you're driving, that you keep an eye out, and hopefully you're not the one perpetrating the idiocy. Of course, having said that, I'm sure I'll do something stupid, so I'd knock on wood, but it's not like I can afford a car that's luxurious enough to have real wood in it. I'm not even sure it has real plastic, to be honest. Is there fake plastic? I don't. Well, if it was cheaper, I'm sure the companies would figure out a way to make it. So yeah. Yeah, I hope you drive carefully. And how are y'all doing today? Despite me waking up late and having to deal with idiocy, I mean, it is December 1st, the month of Christmas, and the weather is nice. I hope you're all doing fine and wonderful and fantastic. Oh, you have to excuse me for a minute. I am going to turn on my new phone. New phone? Freelancer Joe, you're a tech guy. Shouldn't you always have the latest and greatest? And I believe I mentioned this before, but Freelancer Joe is not a hardware guy. So here is my old phone. Ooh, you want to know how fancy it is? It's got that. Isn't that awesome? And it's still good, and I'm still using it. It's still my active number. But I picked this bad boy up for various reasons. Well, no, there's really only one reason why I picked it up. I can't tell if I picked that up or not. There's only one reason I picked it up, in all honesty. What? It's giving me some difficulty typing that in. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so when it comes to technology, I am a bit of a Luddite. Plus, to be honest, I really don't like where they go with these phones. I mean, to the normal person, and conceptually, it seems like a great idea, you know, the information of the world at your fingertips, entertainment at your fingertips. I mean, it's basically a mobile computer connected to the internet. The issue with that is how it gets subverted by, I don't want to say corporate, well, yeah, it is corporate. See, if you ever watch anybody using one of these things, and as I'm sure you're watching me right now, these things poke and poke and poke. It's like, pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. And that just doesn't sit right with me. Even if you're doing something else, and that's the worst part, when you're doing something else and it goes poke, 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 that's, ooh, I look scurry. And see that noise it made? It's like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, even though I'm already paying attention to it. Oh no, now it's a different app that wants. And I'm tempted to turn off this autocorrect. Well, I can't really blame the autocorrect. I have to teach it, that's the thing. Basically, I'm chatting with my honey bunny right now. And let's just say we use cutesy words together. Not always the Queen's English. You know what? I really should. Alright. So, why am I still bothering her? Well, so I should probably apologize beforehand. My thoughts are really going to be scattered, not just because of the disruption of this, but also just the schedule being thrown off. And normally I'd spend more time in, where was that? I was at Panera's, enjoying breakfast and getting coffee and digesting, gathering my thoughts for this session, but I'm just throwing it together, winging it more than normal. Oh, and when you think about it, the past couple weeks, I've been using an outline when I've done Drinks with Joe. Although in my defense, that's mostly because I was drinking alcohol and I needed something to kind of help me stay focused. Although apparently even when I'm sober, I need something to help me stay focused. So, yeah, interesting. Okay, so I kind of recapped what things happened this morning. Was there anything else of interest? Not that I know of. Oh, I suppose I could probably continue to talk about this. I mean, yeah, if you've paid attention to how people use these things and interact with these things, you can see the people that have that are completely hooked into it, and it's really dangerous. Well, there's just the basic human psychology of it. That's what makes it really, really bad. So that's one. And then two is the security aspect of it too, because if you ever dig around to see how much information they can gather from you, not just you, but people you interact with, it's, well, I think most people would not be comfortable with it, to be honest. And that kind of information, the people that gather it, its utility for them is questionable, but for bad actors, it's very, very valuable. So again, it's one of those things where instead of asking whether or not they could, they really should have asked whether or not they should. But so there's that. So we got human psychology, and how it hooks you in, and what they get from you for it. And then the third thing, which is much more philosophical, I would say, is a story I read somewhere. I read it on the internet, so obviously it must be true. Basically, some guy was in a coffee shop working on his laptop, and this old timer, graybeard, walked up to him, and he recognized the young guy with the laptop, younger guy, recognized the older man, and it was one of like the primary founders of modern computing. He developed some hardware or whatever. I forget his name. He was important enough for the other guy to know him, not important enough for me to remember his name. But so the older man asked the younger man, he's like, yeah, so why are you using a laptop instead of one of those tablets or one of those smartphones? And I was like, oh, I'm trying to do some work. And then the older man kind of pointed out that that's why he prefers the concept of laptops. See, with these things, all you do is consume. Right? You consume information, which means people can push things to you. Or maybe at most you generate some things which are used to kind of be pushed to other people, right? But you don't make anything of particular value. You can arrange appointments and send messages and yada, 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 but perhaps with, say, a laptop, something with, you know, a full-size keyboard and a suite of tools, I mean, you can make things. I mean, yeah, I'm sure, like, you can go to, like, Wix.com and build a website from one of these things, but it's just, it's not the same. I mean, I'm sure hardcore programmers laugh at what I do in my freelancer episodes, but I mean, compared to what you can do on a phone, it's a little bit better. So, yeah, I'm still not a fan of these things. But I have a specific purpose in mind, so I'm stuck with it. See? It just binged me. Yeah. Yeah, so when I'm done with the daily specific purpose for it, I'm turning it off. Okay, so let me see. That covers that. Oh, okay. I went on a diatribe about mobile phones. So that's really interesting. Well, not mobile phones, just the whole smartphone thing in general. It is what it is. Ooh, that's my other one. Instead of we shall see, we always go with it is what it is. Let me go ahead and take a sip of my coffee. And I hope you're drinking coffee too. Well, unless you're... Well, I would say if you're sensitive to caffeine, then you should drink decaf. But I consider decaf to be an abomination. So I can't wish you to do that. Maybe something healthy. I hope you're drinking something healthy. Unless, of course, you're watching this at night, in which case you can have drinks with Joe, while Joe has coffee with you. There you go. That's not bad. Oh, I could always slip some vodka into the coffee. Except, as you can see, there's a steering wheel here, and alcohol and vehicles really don't mix. Yeah, so... Alright, but we are about at the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to break for intermission, and also a break to check the poker. Maybe that'll be my new nickname for the phone. So, we'll take a break for 10 seconds, and I'll catch you later. Maybe we'll have more coffee with Joe, or maybe we'll have drinks with Joe. You'll have to tune in to find out. Ooh, and we are back. Yeah, well, as you can see, it's a Wow, it actually looks like it's brilliantly bright outside, but it's not that. Oh well, maybe it's just my illuminating presence that's doing the trick. Well, we spent the first half doing absolutely nothing of value or nothing related to the recap. So let's go ahead and start the recap. Freelancer activities. Still working the calendar. How close are we now? Alright, we've got the communication, and we've got parameterized search, and we've got the status updating. I think we are almost about done with it, actually. We might have to... Okay, yeah. We'll clean it up a little bit, and we have to then add in a way for the user to enter events, and I'm just going to do that for the demo. Can't do that. He wouldn't pick... I hope you didn't pick that up, but that's some copyrighted music that I personally like listening to, but I don't make nearly enough money to afford the rights to use it in a video. And I don't think that the company that has that music would actually license it out for this purpose. Okay, back to the calendar. So I want to add a form that lets the user enter events just to demonstrate how to add them in. But I won't link that to the AWS stuff. Because that means some malicious person could go out and enter a bajillion dates and rack up my AWS fees. So we're not doing that. And then if that gets done soon enough, I'll need to, well, after I clean it up, then we'll port part of the code over into my own personal website, so that I can start scheduling events, like what a basic schedule looks like, and then whether or not there are special events. And that will be a good demonstration of the utility of it. Although I would think that a calendar like that and the ability to enter dates and have it dynamically updated is readily visible, but well, part of it's showing the utility, another part showing that I can do it. And bear in mind that I'm not doing any of the work off camera, so even though it seems like it's taken 2 weeks, it was like 20 minutes a day, 5 days. So, I mean, that's like 4 hours maybe. It really wouldn't take that long if I was focused. So, okay, yeah. So that's Freelancer. Then we have training. So as far as training goes, overall strength's pretty good. I mean, no real injuries. I think I mentioned last week that the back was kind of dodgy, and it's healed up much better. Still a little sore now. It kind of ramped back up again, which I think is the deadlift. But other than that, no real injuries. I'm surprised that the right knee's holding up as well as it has. Right shoulder still is what it is, but that's an old one. But the more important thing is, well, I don't know if I would say the more important thing, but the thing I'm really focused on is whether or not restraining myself on the diet actually had an effect. And, see, poked again, poke. I would say that it did, not quite as spectacular as I would have liked, but it was solid, both in, well, so there are a couple ways that you can measure, you know, weight, right? The obvious one is stepping on the scale. The other one is simply measurements, a waist measurement, right? And for me, I don't actually whip out the measuring tape anymore. The way I keep track is with my weightlifting belt. And I'm down to my second to the last notch on the belt. And I can consistently hit that without sucking in the gut too much. Whereas before it was like 6, and I had to suck in really hard to hit the 5. So I'm hitting the 5, and I'm thinking I might actually be able to get, well, a few more weeks and I might be able to hit that last notch. And then the other way to kind of measure it is simply, whether or not you feel, I want to say svelte. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like you kind of feel like you feel lean, and all those three things happen. But at the end of the day, it's all about the number. The number itself doesn't lie. So it was good, not spectacular, but good. Let me see. So unfortunately, yeah, today's gonna be one heck of a cheat day, I can tell you that. It already is kind of a cheat because I already did a meal at Panera's. So, more poke. Always with the poking. So we shall see. I'm being distracted by something. Even if I'm recording this, it always helps to pay attention to your surroundings. So, yeah. Okay, so that's freelancer, that's training. A little worry about this upcoming week. So the big cheat's today. So that's gonna kind of make things difficult for the rest of next week as far as weight loss goes. And then there are other factors in consideration. There are other factors that could affect things and probably will affect things next week. So it's gonna be rough, and then, but the following week I should have a clean week. I really hope, at least until the weekend, in which case it's the company holiday party. And I mean, I think I'm probably gonna go to that too. So it's just the tricky time of year when you're trying to stay at your peak physicality like me. Okay, there's that. And then the big thing, and this is why the freelancer stuff has been kind of on autopilot for the past couple weeks, is the new project, I should say. I'm still with my same company. It's just well, they've had this project for a while now, and it's quite sizable for them. But for me, I mean, it involves so many changes. It's also the driving factor of why I have the poker now. Excuse me while I check what it poked me for. You see, isn't this rude? Isn't this just distracting? Basically, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm chatting with my honey bunny. So, of course, she has all of my attention. But I will pull myself away from that to chat with you. All right, so work. Pretty much I am set for everything I needed to do to finish up on my old project now, as well as to, at least from a paperwork perspective, be ready for the new project. Actually, I need to double check my email from my new boss to verify the time that I should show up at work. And so that's, I mean, most people would be concerned about, what they're gonna be doing, how they're gonna interact with people. Not me. My biggest concern really is how it's gonna affect my schedule. I mean, I really like my schedule as it's been. Granted, I think it's probably causing me to stagnate quite a bit, but I mean, it's been paying off dividends and controlling my spending, my ability to, that guy just rolled right through a stop sign. Yeah, he didn't just roll through a stop sign, he just full speed. Yeah, controlled spending, discipline on the diet, discipline on training, discipline on freelancer activities, not necessarily inspiration on freelancer activities, to be sure, but definitely discipline. So I have to make that adjustment, which also means I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty certain I'm gonna have to go in to the office at a normal time, which means I either leave at a normal time, and in both cases, I get smacked with traffic, which after all the rampant idiocy I saw this morning, I'd really want to avoid. So what I suspect is I'll get into the area early, and then instead of leaving at a normal time, stay late to avoid traffic. But then that impacts my Freelancer episode, as well as my training. So at least there's a potential for this first week, because I really don't want to try and go to what I would consider a suitable schedule for me until I'm kind of acclimated, you know, until I get what the expectations are from me. So what I think I might end up doing is actually tomorrow, I might record a week's worth of Freelancer activities, which will basically be what I just talked about as far as the calendar goes. So hopefully I can get that all lined up. Doesn't solve a problem about the training though. I'm just gonna have to knuckle that one up, I guess. But then there's no point in worrying about it, really. I mean, the course is set. I'm aware of what the possible options are. Now let's just see what really is. If they're cool with me keeping my current schedule, well, I already talked with my boss and he said he would. They were fine with that schedule as long as I get the work done, although I have to make a slight modification before chatting with my honey bunny and using this thing. So we shall see. I mean, there are other options. I mean, there's actually a gym club right across the street from it. So, I mean, I could do my training after work. And that should keep me late enough to avoid traffic. I could do it before work. And actually, I think the new office building itself has a gym too, although probably not to a suitable enough iron temple for myself. But you know, like I said, always options. It's just making the adjustment, making the change, and that's precisely, well, that's one of the reasons why I did it, was that change. Hopefully that will invigorate me. What I'm trying to do is invigorate, but not lose the goals I'm trying to achieve. But hey, it is what it is. You just gotta go for it and make the change. And the second reason was, I think I've mentioned this before, there is some paperwork regarding my honey bunny, and this will speed things up much faster, for better or for worse. But yeah, so the next week at work is just gonna be me adjusting. It should be fun, should be interesting. Oh, that's right. I gotta make sure I pull the clothes out, the actual clothes I should wear for the new week, or my new attire. It's not really new, because it's been sitting in my closet for a while now. Actually, I think I've worn them before. But it's a new look as far as most of the people there would be concerned, because, well, I mean, they haven't worked with Freelancer Joe before, and boy, are they in for a treat. Who isn't? But we are about at the 15-minute mark, and I am running out of things to talk about, but we've covered everything we should cover, so I'll wrap it up for now. Thanks for joining me. Cool kid words about liking and subscribing, commenting, and suggesting. Hope you join me for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Freelancer Joe episode will be a fresh one. I can't make a guarantee for the ones for the following week. So, that could be interesting how I adjust to that. But thank you again for joining me and having drinks with me. And until the next time you join me, I hope that you take care and God bless.